So today we just we talk with Soldado, Contra-Mestre Soldado from Aruanda, and he lives in Hamburg, from Germany. But introduce yourself, like when did you start with capoeira, and where did you start, and how long do you practice now?
Sure. So my name's Soldado. I live in Hamburg in Germany in the north, as Helicoptero said. I'm Australian, I'm not German. And I moved to Germany in 2003. So a while ago, or like 17 years ago or something like that. I've been doing capoeira over 20 years. So it started with 19 instead of the year 2000 when I started. And yeah, so over 20 years training. Been here in Germany for 16 or so years, and a year ago tomorrow is when I became a Contra-Mestre. So like tomorrow is the anniversary of when my grading was. So it's a really nice time to do anything.
1 year ago, yeah.
Yeah.
And the group was always Aruanda? No.
No. So originally we were all part of Capoeira Brazil. And the Contra-Mestre of my master now, his name was Olijupesh, he decided to create his own group. And all the students under him departed Capoeira Brazil. And we created a group called Capoeira Acre, which is like the word Capoeira and Acre together with just one A. Instead of Capoeira Acre, it was Capoeira Acre. Because my mestre, Mestre Borracha, comes from the region of Acre in Brazil, and that was the birth name of our group, right? So we had a logo, and we always felt it was temporary as well, and it was always a bit like limited by the region, so regional begrenzt, right? So it's like having Munich capoeira and then you come to Hamburg. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people in Hamburg. Like, why am I doing Munich capoeira? No offense to Munich, right? Hey, Jana. And so she says it's the best. Capoeira is the best. And so we found a more symbolic name for us, which is Aruanda, which is it means roughly translated the promised land. Or the place of happiness, or heaven, whatever you want to call it. And so many years ago, we rebranded ourselves as Aruanda, or Capoeira Aruanda. And we just took that there. And our symbol is a triangle. And that is actually one of the two tattoos that the tribe in Acre gets tattooed around their arm, like an armband. And they're an indigenous tribe of Indians, and they make the triangle called braço de macaco in the square as well, which means like arm of the monkey, like this. And we took that to still represent the region of where our group came from, but then adopted a more generic capoeira name.
Okay, you have it also on your shirt here on the arm.
Sometimes we have
all the triangles
tattoo. Yeah, I'm wearing a different shirt today, but we do. Our uniform has the armband. They have it very large, and we just did it small for the aesthetic. But yeah, it's connected to that.
Ah, okay. Now I know why you put it on it.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Nice. So, since when is Aruanda now existing?
Well, the group itself, when we created our original group of Capoeira Acre, was created in 2003. And I believe the actual formatura of the group was the January of 2004. I'd have to go back and check the record. This is not something that you get asked every day.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Something wrong.
So correct. So November 2003 is when we exited the group, and I think a few months later, September 2003, and then in January or February, the end of January, I was in Brazil for the formatura of the group in Acre, and we had several masters there to create, at the time, our Contra-Mestre Olijupesh, to the master of the group. He's since departed the group, and he doesn't train anymore, and Mestre Borracha took over the role as the president and the master of the group, and he runs the group today. So 2003 is when we the seed broke through the earth, and I think it started to bloom in the start of 2004.
Okay. And there's also Aruanda now in Acre, or not?
Unfortunately, no, because the other Contra-Mestre there has decided to join Capoeira Nago with Mestre Picanese. Is Mestre Jeb. He's a really good guy, and we're still very good friends, and he and my Mestre are like brothers. But that was the way he wanted to go. He had a mentor in Mestre Picanese, and he's very close to that region there. And so that's the way he developed and grew with his Capoeira. We are still very close to them because Mestre Borracha, our Mestre, his brother, is a student of Mestre Jeb in Capoeira Nago, right? So we're still all very close, and like there's no politics there at all. So our group is currently in Germany and in Australia, where my Mestre lives in Australia, Borracha. Yeah. So unfortunately, we don't have a footprint in Brazil anymore. That could change, but that many groups don't have that today. Like, we're okay with that.
And in Germany, your stations are in Hamburg, Frankfurt, Göttingen, and one up a little close to
Bad Doberan with Instructor Pica-Pau.
Yeah,
it's really close to Rostock, and that's with Instructor Pica-Pau.
And in Australia?
So in Australia, we have Sydney, like the capital of New South Wales, where the Mestre teaches, and we have Newcastle, and we have two academies in Newcastle. One is with Professor Fernando Gessito, and the other one is with Quebra and Serenata, both graduados, and they have their own like space, an academy called Novo Flow, like New Flow, and they teach several different martial arts there, but the main martial arts for this academy is Capoeira.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And how did you get to Capoeira?
So my first experience with Capoeira was when I was a teenager. I had martial arts training before Capoeira since I was an early teen. And in the city where I lived at the time, which was in Victoria, in the south of Australia, didn't have Capoeira at all. It only had like Kung Fu and Karate and Taekwondo. And so, like when I was 13, I think, I started training martial arts because I was a very small person, and like there was lots of bullies at school, like mobbing. And so I decided to look after myself. And when I was about 18, I think, maybe 19, a Brazilian teacher of Capoeira came to Melbourne for a martial arts workshop. And so I just did a workshop, like a half-a-day Capoeira workshop. I since now know this person, which is pretty cool. So I trained there for the half a day, and then it was really infectious. And so anytime I wasn't training like karate or kung fu or freestyle, I was practicing stuff that I learned in this workshop. And then 6 months later, another workshop, and it just went like this. But there was still no real school where you could go and learn from someone at that time. This is almost 30 years ago, right? So it wasn't as popular as it was today, especially in Australia. And when I moved to Sydney, which was like 1999, I think, 98, there was 5 schools there. And one thing that I had always done was watch this movie, Only the Strong, right? If you know this, with Mark Dacascos. And I'm showing my age now. I used to watch it on VHS, not on Netflix. It's a VHS on a tape. And so I used to watch this movie every couple of months at my house, and my flatmate, who's a lifelong friend to this day, he got sick of it, right? And one day he was in a park in Sydney, and he saw like a capoeira show, and he said, "Hey, do you teach?" And the teacher's like, "Yeah, here, this is a flyer." And he just came home with it, and he put it in my hand, and he goes, "Go learn this now and stop watching that damn movie," right? And so the very next Friday, I went to this class, and it was like right near my work, on the way home to my house on Fridays, right? And it was like perfect. And so I went into this classroom, and I met Mestre Borracha. But back then he was Professor Borracha. And so I just started training there. And after like 1 month of training there, I realized, okay, I've really found something special, and I quit the training of all the other sports I did and just went all into capoeira. And now it's over 20 years later, and I'm still doing it, 3 to 4 times a week. So, yeah.
Nice. This was my next question. Like, I know you did a lot of martial arts before, like karate and kickboxing, or maybe I don't know. But why did you stay with capoeira and not with maybe karate, or do both together?
So, growing up, I was very idealistic, and I watched a lot of martial arts movies, right? And the ones that really resonated with me were the ones that had like honor and community, and like when you have all the monks together in the Shaolin monastery and they fight for each other like brothers and sisters. Like, this is really appealing to me, right? I found that connectivity, that lifestyle really, really appealing. And the problem with a lot of the kung fu and the karate was it felt like a sports fitness class. You went there, you learned the things, and then you went home. Like, no one would socialize, no one would be looking out for each other, no one would want to meet and train, like in the park. And I met one person. I met one person who's still a friend today. He was one of my teachers. And he would like ring up and he'd say, hey, you want to go to the park and do some training? Like, do you want to practice with like the sticks or the swords, or we just do some sparring? I said, yeah, it's pretty cool, right? And so I was like 16 by this stage. And we used to go and train a lot. And I would say, hey, it's not like what I thought it'd be like. He goes, yeah, there's some schools like this, there's some schools not like this. And it just felt fun to be learning to fight and defend yourself and learning all this, mystical movements and this amazing martial arts. But I didn't realize it so clearly as I do today, that something was missing the whole time, right? Although it was great, something was missing. And then in the first month of capoeira, I really thought they were like a cult, because they were so friendly, so inviting, so open. And I thought, okay, they want me to sign the contract, right? Like I didn't trust them, right? And to this day, they're like, all those people that I know are still this way, right? And so, like, in that first month, I started to really trust there's a sense of community in capoeira, right? Which was missing from all the other martial arts I did. And I think that's been handed down for generations and generations. And all the people I know in capoeira are generally pretty open, pretty friendly, pretty integrative in their thinking. And so it was really that little piece of the puzzle that was missing for me from a martial art. And so I had to turn my martial arts career on its head. Like, I was very disciplined, I was very straightforward, like this, everything square. And capoeira is not like that. I had to unlearn so many things to fit in physically on that side. Like, my body was capable. I could like do 1,000 push-ups or whatever, 100 push-ups. I could do most of the kicks, but I couldn't do jinga. I couldn't relax my body. I couldn't be cheeky. I always wanted to attack front on. So I had to unlearn a lot of things to learn capoeira. And just because your body's ready doesn't mean your mind is not. That your mind is, sorry. And so, yeah, it was a great transition, but it was a difficult transition. I had to learn a lot of things through practice and through conversation and things like that. But it was really the sense of community that sucked me into capoeira a lot. And as we see today, when you travel and you see workshops and stuff, it's a great community to be part of.
For sure, yeah. Nice. So the missing part was the socializing stuff.
Yeah, I'd say it's more than socializing. Like, it was more about, it's like a sense of family,
Yeah.
with people you're not related to. And that's what was missing.
I think everybody who practices capoeira understands.
Yeah.
Very difficult to explain sometimes to somebody who
Correct. Yeah.
don't
You either are or you're not. Yeah.
But I know. And one question also is, you are from Australia.
Yeah.
And you live in Germany and teaching a Brazilian martial art. It's very, sometimes it's funny, but it's also interesting. Like, how do you feel with this one? Like, some people, when you talk to them, maybe they are like, you are Australian, you live in Germany and teaching Brazilian martial art. it couldn't fit together. You can't do it like this.
It's for me. There's a couple of things here. Like there's a lot to unpack in that statement. So for me, it's never been a problem, right? I've never seen an issue with being an Australian in Germany and teaching like a Brazilian cultural way of life or martial art. I think for me, the Brazilian community inside Capoeira has always been fairly open. Like the people I have associated with and invited me and supported me and helped me grow and challenged me have never said anything about me being an Australian, right? And I think that's a wonderful testament to Capoeira. The other thing is when I have people in my class, I just see people. And so in a way, I don't think of myself as an Australian teaching a Brazilian thing in Germany. I think of myself as a person teaching like a way of life, a cultural sport that I love to a group of people. I don't separate people, you're old and you're young, or you're male and you're female or other. I don't do that. Like we train together, we train the same things, and I expect the same things from everyone. But I also appreciate and love the diversity you get through having a group of different people as well. And so for me, I guess because I don't see it that way outwardly, I don't feel it that way like inwardly. Oh, hang on, I've got an app. I don't want to get disconnected here. And so for me, it's just very simply, we are people doing Capoeira together in an academy. So I don't put labels on myself like that or other things. And yeah, like when someone mentions it like that way, and I work with two Brazilians in my office. Well, they've left now, but like they were laughing about the combination as well, and they couldn't get their head around it and stuff. And I said, hey, it's something you can learn. It's a culture you can appreciate and like acclimatize to and integrate into. And you can pass that on to other people, and it doesn't matter who you are. And I think that's the beauty of Capoeira and the people teaching Capoeira, that you are accepted and that it does like help you grow the way they accept you as well.
Okay, and you also learned from a Brazilian guy.
Yeah, my mestre is Brazilian. Yes, so like the reference, as you would say in Capoeira, is there. The roots go back to Brazil for sure.
I have sometimes this feeling like people watching at me, like, okay, I learned Capoeira from a German guy in Germany, and never been to, I've been one time to Brazil, but not that often.
But I mean,
connection to Brazil.
Correct. But often I feel that there's a couple of things, like either your teacher or you or both of you have made your own references then, right? And like I know Mestre High School is a very good capoeirista, and he has his reputation in the world of capoeira, and it's strong. And you two are visiting a lot of places and getting a lot of respect, not only because of how you can move your body in the harder, but you come there with a great attitude and you're helping set up like events and supporting, giving energy, you bring students. This in itself, even if you had no teacher, this would be you earning your references in the world of Capoeira, and a lot of the people that you work with in the community would then start to be your reference and say, hey, I know Instructor Helicopter, it's a great guy, awesome Capoeira, like there's no problem there, you know what I mean? And so at the start, when I started teaching in Germany, it was also playing on my mind these sorts of thoughts. And today I don't give it a second thought, right? Like if I'm invited somewhere, I have to play my role and be in my position and support who I'm there to support, and be humble, but give as much as I can. And if I leave a good impression from that, that's great, right? It's a little bit difficult for me because my mesh is on the other side of the planet, right? And so he lives in Australia, and so for like no one here knows him. Only close friends who have visited our workshops know who he is, and then they can accept and say, okay, so that was your student. I see you play. You're a mestre. Okay, I agree now, right? There's a little bit of that now and then, but in general, no. Like if you're doing the right thing the right way and taking your time doing it, you're going to earn your respect in the world of Capoeira, and people are just going to appreciate what you can do. And I think that's who you are and what you can do. And I think that's one of the most important things to remember.
Yeah, Thanks.
Cool.
And if the people have any questions, just send in the comments, because I just got a few. Maybe I got some more in the end, but I just wrote down some, and it's like always the same. I also ask other school, and I would know the same question, because I think it's nice to hear different answers, maybe, or maybe the same answers for the same questions.
Yeah.
And also a question, it's more personal, like, who has been inspiring you for years until now, or maybe in the past, and now another guy, or, I don't know.
Yeah, that's really a tough one to answer, right? Because, like, as a student, you have different influences than as a teacher and as a person as well. But I don't like to idolize people because, you know, when you get to know them as people, they're just people as well, right? And I've been disappointed about that in the past. And I think, I mean, it sounds a bit cliche, but the people who inspire me the most are my students, because I see how much they're giving and learning and stuff. And it's kind of like that saying that you want to be the person your dog thinks you are, right? And so I want to be the teacher and the capoeirista that my students think I am. So I push myself hard to be a better person, to be a better capoeirista, to live a healthier life, to train better, to give them better advice. And I think that's something that's really sort of inspirational for me, that my students are my I don't know, inspiration there. That I don't want to try and emulate a capoeirista. I don't want to try and be another person. I want to learn the best things from the best people, have people challenge me and give me feedback, and like just meeting capoeiristas. Like, I mean, I have a close group of friends in Europe. You have Mestre Canguru, you have like there's Mestre Cigano as well. Like Mestre Arisco is a great guy. You know, there's Cabana as well, Cabana. And these people, when you meet them at events, they talk to you, they take you on the side, you have a great conversation about your capoeira career. They challenge you in the harder, and, you know, they reassure you as well. Like, they give you really good, critical, positive feedback as well. And so it's more about people I want to associate with rather than aspire to be like, because I'll never play like Mestre Canguru, or I'll never, you know, sing like Mestre Amen, who's also a friend and stuff. But I can learn a lot from these people too, by being close with them, right, to learn that way. And so there's a group of people that I would really work hard to be close to learn from as well. But at the same time, it's also good to go to new places where you don't know many people. And be out of your element, and maybe even have a bad time. And if you can learn from that, that's also good, right? As long as you come home not broken. I think that's also good now and then, right? It shouldn't be the norm. But if you go somewhere and it was really hard to get in the harder, or like you couldn't pick up on the music style, or someone put you on your bum in the harder, these can be good moments too. If you work out, how did it happen? Was it me? Did I not train enough? Did I not prepare? These sorts of things are good for you, you know. So yeah, sorry for the long answer, and that's not really clear.
It's nice to.
Yeah.
Many people would answer like, my master is my inspiration, or
he is too.
Next door
right?
is my inspiration.
Yeah.
And it's also a nice answer that the students are the inspiration, and also the friends. The friends of one, like, you visit every time on events or something like this, to see how they grow and push you also to grow. Yeah, it's nice. I like it. And how do you motivate yourself so that to train? Wait, first, do you train by yourself?
Sometimes. Like, I live with another capoeirista, my wife. And so if I'm going to go training, like, she's the first person to put her hand up and say, me too, right? So, and I like that. You get a partner, and sometimes we go somewhere and she'll do her thing, I'll do my thing. Before the COVID-19 problem, we had once a month free training in our academy. And so we could all go in there for 2 hours on one Sunday a month and just do your own thing. occasionally I'll do some stuff at home, like a little home workout, things like that. Often, almost every night, I'll roll on my back and my hips and try and get some flexibility there, just light stuff at home. And when I was a bit younger, I was training 5 or 6 times a week here in Germany. Right now it's 3 times in the academy, and probably a 4th time I'll do something for myself a week. Right, so I'm getting older, and I have to pace myself and do the type of training that my body needs at the moment for the goals that I want to achieve. I don't want to learn salto anymore, right? I don't want to train salto anymore. That's not for me. What I want to work is my footwork, my defenses, my interaction and stuff like that. So it's a different sort of training that I would want to do for myself. But I need to keep my my joints mobile and fit and strong and flexible and reactive. And so that's the sort of training I would do for myself, right? Like, how do I move like this, or how do I do that? So you set out a plan and do that. Yeah, so occasionally I will be training by myself. Often I'll be teaching, but I don't do classic teaching unless I'm injured. So I don't stand up the front and bark orders. I normally stand in the row and train with the students, with the exception of when we do partner work, where I have to check on the partners and make sure they're working. But I enjoy it when I have an odd number of students, because then I can be one of the partners, right?
Yeah.
So, and get my own training in for the week.
It's like I do. Well,
Yeah, cool.
Sometimes I'm tired and I don't do it.
That's the teacher's secret. Don't let everyone know.
And now we come to the question: how do you motivate yourself to always go to the class, to give class, or to train by yourself? And
cool. So my name is Soldado, right? Like soldier. And I got it because of a couple of reasons. And one was, if I get injured, I keep going. And the other one is because I came from the martial arts world, like I had a lot of discipline, right? So the teacher would say, line up, and I'd be the first one. They said, push-ups, I'd be the first to hit the ground. He's like, this guy's like a soldier, right? Like, and so, and when he saw that I really hurt my foot one day with a piece of wood stuck in it, and we just pulled it out, taped it up, and I trained, I said, you don't have to do this, like, you're not a soldier. And then, like, one of the students said it, Doro. And then the master's like, hey, yeah, that's right, this guy reminds me of a soldier. So I have bucket loads of discipline, like, lately when I want to, but when I was younger, all the time. And so for me, motivation is not a good friend, right? Like, for anyone who wants to make progress in the world of capoeira, or who wants to grow a group, or who wants to be teaching 3, 5, 7 times a week, motivation is never going to do it for you, right? It's got to be discipline. You've got to have a routine. You've got to be, okay, every Monday, every Wednesday, every Saturday morning at 10 a.m., I'm, in the classroom teaching. It's for 2 hours. If one person shows up, or 30, they both bring their own headaches, right? You get one person, you say, I'm pretty disappointed. Like, you have no motivation if one person shows up. If 30 people show up, you're going to, like, be ecstatic, like you had, 20 Red Bulls. You go, I got a big class today. We're going to do a harder. It's going to be amazing, right? And then the next day you get one. Why? Because you had a big class the day before. 30 people came, and they're all smashed from the harder, and just one person missed, right? Right? And so I feel motivation is like the wind on the sea, right? It's not always blowing in your favor. It's not always even there. But the discipline is the rowing. And with the rowing, you will always go forwards. You will always go forwards. When the wind comes, put up your sail and go with it. Like, every day is discipline, discipline, discipline. And there's, like, every other day you might get some motivation come your way. You might hear an amazing song, right? Like a capoeira song, or you might hear your favorite jam on Spotify on your bike on the way to class. You might get into class and see an old student that hasn't been there for ages, or you might have like 5 new ones. And all of a sudden you get this wave of motivation on top of what you were prepared to do. And it just adds so much more to it, right?
it's like an extra.
Yeah, it's like that extra push. And so I'm not saying prepare for the worst or even expect the worst. I'm just saying, look, go there without these great expectations and like, do what you've committed to do. You want to be a capoeira teacher, then you have to walk that path, right? It's not always easy, but you have to keep walking that path, right? So it's more about being disciplined to keep going forward than to be motivated and talented, right? the best acrobatic capoeirista is not the one who becomes a mestre. It's the person who keeps going forward and forward and forward and keeps working hard, keeps training, keeps giving back, keeps dedicating their time, keeps supporting their group and the community, and just keeps going and going and going. And if they hit hard times, they go a little bit around the problem, or they get feedback and they go over the problem. But motivation is not going to last 30 years to get you to mastery. It's just not. Right.
But it's also for the students, because you just say as a teacher, but also for the students, I think it's
exactly.
Just go in there, go.
Keep going.
To class. Yeah, I remember back in time when I was training at Arisco's classes, and he gave classes every day. Yeah, it was every day, like from Monday to Saturday. And there were many days that I was tired, that I was not in the mood for class, but I went there because it was training time. And when I was there, I always felt like, okay, now I'm here, now I get more relaxed, and all the friends are there, my people.
Yeah.
And sometimes it changed my mood in the class.
Yeah,
and I went back home happy.
Yeah, true. And I've been in the classroom, and I think it was myself, Palmera, and Professor Fernando Santo on a Sunday. That was it. And I just went home feeling so good after that, because we all started off doing our own thing, and then we started somehow to mix our movements, and then we all worked off each other. And after 2 hours, I went home feeling amazing, right? And that was 3 people. I went there, walked in the room, and you're like, okay, it's the person I brought with me plus 1 person, right? And it's not, right? But at the end of the 2 hours, it was fantastic. But it's good that you talk about students too, because as a beginner, you learn so much so fast, right? And it's when you get to your second or third year, you start to slow down. Especially if you've been training a lot and you've dedicated a lot to improving, you'll get to a plateau. You'll go this way a little bit. And it's a very dangerous time for us, it's like the orange belts, because they feel like, how do I come further? Or, I'm not learning so much anymore, right? So fast. Like, the experience is different now. And you have to prepare your students for that as a teacher, but also as a student, you have to be willing to accept that, okay, on the first lesson you learned 10 things, right? You learned Jenga, you learned 3 or 4 different esquivas, you learned 2 awus, and you maybe learned some negativa and a headstand, right? And then you go to a class, and then your teacher wants to work 1 month on one movement, Vingachiva, right? And you're like, well, I'm doing 4 weeks of Vingachiva now. It's like, why? I'm just learning this one thing, and it's a plateau. Or maybe you're learning lots of things, but you yourself have a specific thing you want to try, and you hit that plateau and you can't break through, right? You're just going like this the whole time. And again, that's where discipline is going to get you through, right? If that's what you need, or sometimes you just turn your back on that movement, train some other stuff, and come back to it, right? But that discipline is to, okay, I'm going to put that here, continue with my normal training, and then come back to that when I feel like I'm ready to do that. Macaco is a big challenge for a lot of people. And they train it for years and years and years. They don't get it. And it's not about the training or the technique or whatever. It's more about, okay, do I want to do macaco? Yes. Okay. If I do this right and my body's healthy, 6 weeks I can do macaco both sides, right? It's about the discipline to say, okay, I visualize my goal. I know how to get there because I've got a teacher that's showing me the way, like she or he is showing me the right movements. And then you do it, right? If you don't have time for that and you have to slow that down and it takes 3 months, that's fine. Macaco's still going to be macaco in 6 months, in a year, in 3 years, right? But the discipline, is going to get you there, because every time you can't do macaco and you're relying on motivation, you get flat. It's like, damn it, I still can't do it. It's like, okay, I got to do this 30 times each side, each lesson, and then it's going to come, right? And that's more what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I have also some of this, some acrobatics. I tried for years and years and years, and I stayed with. But now I quit. Like I said, no, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. I have one or two of those.
Macaco is not one of these.
Yeah. So I have one or two of those, and like I almost
can't get it.
Well, I almost destroyed my knee on one of them, so that's when I gave up on that one. Right.
Yeah. So. Okay, and what do you recommend to beginners to get better in capoeira? So really beginners, like maybe up to, I know your quarter system, up to yellow quarter, something like this, or yellow.
Sure. So I think one thing that I can say quite honestly is once a week training is okay to have contact with capoeira at any level, right? Twice a week you're going to start to see some improvements. If you want to get really good, going 3 times a week is the secret number, right? Going 5 or 6, 7 times a week is even better. But I think if you think to yourself, okay, this is a sport for me, like I've been for the first month, I love it, I really want to get good, right? Like really improve your base and what you can do is like the minimum for me would be 3 times a week, because there's multiple factors there that you have to consider. That if you do it once a week, you're going to forget everything by the next week. Let's assume you do nothing else, like you have a very long working hours, or you just sit at home watching Netflix. Hello, Capoeira Belgium, I see you there. Yeah, it says hi, guys. So the whole week you've not absorbed any capoeira, your body hasn't done much, right? And then you come back and it's almost like starting again. If you do it twice a week, it's a bit better than that. You can get more of a bump in the middle of the week. So, like Monday and Thursday, there's the next bump, and then you get through Monday and a bump. But if you do it 3 times a week, and let's say it's like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday or something like that, just very simple on the numbers, you're getting that regular update. You have a day to process in your mind, because the body's a learning machine. It's not going to learn a martello by reading a book. You have to do it. And then the next day, like your subconscious and all the synapses build up and join, and you start to learn in your mind when you're not training. But the other thing is around getting fitter and stronger works a lot better when you do it every second day. It's like bodybuilders do arm day and leg day, and it's not the same day, and it's every alternate day. And so there's some sports science behind training every second day when you want to do a certain type of sport, especially when it involves strength and explosive strength. And that happens to be every second day, right? And so if like our classes are on Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. And so Thursday, Saturday, Monday is every second day. Right. And so if you're coming to all 3 classes, you get the benefit of like this sports science super compensation, it's called, and it helps your body get fitter faster too. So if you're a beginner, and I just assume you haven't done much sport, like I have some beginners come in, they're gymnasts. So, okay, you know what you're doing with your body. But just a pure beginner comes in every second day. It seems like a lot at the start, but it can be much beneficial for you. But the way I normally would see it is that a beginner comes once a week, and then they realize they like it, and they start testing the waters and coming twice a week. And then in the first, 3 to 6 months, they're fully in love with capoeira. They have the time to come, and then it's 3 times a week, and then their development goes like this. Right. So yeah, I think regular training and not once a week is the way to improve fast.
It's funny because it's always what I say to my students. But I give classes 2 times per week.
Yeah.
It's on Monday and Friday. And I say always to them, like, you have to push one training for yourself. Mm-hmm. Whenever you like, but do it.
Yeah.
To stay with the movements.
Yeah.
And what do you recommend for advanced guys? So up with, like you said, the people who are on the plateau, or maybe graduados, and you also teach some instructors. What do you recommend to them?
So there's a couple of things that I've done for a while. Is first of all, they need to be part of the group decision-making process. The more senior, like I have 2 professor formandos, I have instructores more, like 7 instructores and instructoras. And they need to be part of the evolution of your group because they're part of your leadership team, right? And so I work with them and consult them and get their feedback and their ideas. And not everything can be done, but it's great feedback. And they're helping control the destiny of the group. So they feel connected more with what's going on in the group rather than being a really advanced student. They're a bridge to the students, right? And to keep them motivated as well, they see some of their ideas happen in the group. Hey, I think we should do this with the beginners. Or did you think about doing a hoda like this? Or maybe if we change this to that. And you say, well, that's actually a really good idea. Let's discuss it, and you make it happen. And they feel like, hey, I've left a little bit of myself in this group like this. So there's that thing, right? And you get really amazing ideas from even white belts, right? So there's that. The second thing is teaching them about the discipline to say, hey, like I have to keep my routine going, right? The third thing, like, and there's a whole thing to that, like as we just discussed, and mentoring about the discipline, and you might be feeling flat or not growing now. But for an advanced student, it's not always a physical development. It might be about like the spiritual development in capoeira, like I'm not feeling inspired in rodas, or I don't feel comfortable in certain situations in the roda. Like, so there may be some of that, or there may be some of the educador side, like either learning the history or teaching the history stuff, like the soft side of capoeira, like the books and history and music stuff. And so there's that as well. So teaching them the discipline on, hey, yeah, okay, you need to get more into the history of capoeira, or you need to get more into the music of capoeira, or you need to get more into fight mode, or you need to get less into fight mode and more playful mode, and having that sort of development, right? But the other thing for advanced, it's important to get them out of the academy, right? To say, stop coming to my class only, and start adding a monthly roda with one of the teachers in our city, or come with me to workshops in other cities or other countries, and start to experience more capoeira, right? Because if you learn in this room here in my academy, the only thing you're going to be able to do is play the people in this academy. And so I'm very fortunate to have a group that's very, very open to these ideas. And a large amount of students who, since even Orange Belt, like the top of beginner level, have been traveling with me to many different events. And it's now a normal part of their evolution in my group, our group, that, hey, we're going to this city, who wants to come? And like a white belt will put up their hand and come with us, right? And so in their first 6 months of capoeira, they've been to the Netherlands with Mesha Makumba, who's also one of my inspirations, to see a big event with 100 people there and training in lots of workshops and rodas. And from the first day almost, it's normal for them to be traveling. And so when we get up to the advanced level now, I have students going to events without me as guests, which I think is amazing. Like, I'm really happy this is happening. I'm really proud of them. And I really think it's part of the development to be recognized for their experience and their hard work, and go out into the world of capoeira and experience it, without me behind them, just to find their own way a bit, because it helps them develop their capoeira identity, right? Some teachers are not so cool with these ideas of like sending their students out, but I'm not pushing them out. Like, they're always in class. They're there 3 times a week. These are the people who are doing it 3 times a week. These are the ones that are pushing the beginners and the intermediates to train harder. They're the ones who are pushing each other and even me to train harder. And then they're going out and experiencing capoeira and bringing fresher ideas, new movements, new energy back into the classroom. So by helping them, I'm helping everyone else as well, that they've learned that as well. So they're supporting the soft side and developing that. There's the areas around the discipline, and then there's exposing them to the bigger world of capoeira. I think these things, and that last one actually gives you motivation. So I'm going to speak for motivation there. You go to an amazing workshop, you come back, you're on a high for a month. You've got new songs, you've got new movements, you've made new friends. And for the next 30 days, every class is amazing, right? And so, that's that extra on top.
That's it, extra. And do you push your advanced students like graduados and instructores to give classes?
No. So I made that mistake many years ago, like a long time ago, over 10 years ago, where I thought, as you get to green belt, you should be teaching. And now, through a lot of feedback from a lot of people in my group, I'm really pushing the idea of having gradings up to, say, even just before professor. So we have this professor formando belt. Some groups call it estagiario de professor, like just before professor, like a fully formed professor. Because professor literally means teacher, right? So I don't feel good about making someone like in our group it's red purple, so the medio horseshoe, without them having a class, right? So I feel there's something there, but I have people who come 3 times a week. They're super fit. They've been doing capoeira a very long time, and maybe they're like a neurosurgeon, a brain surgeon. When are they ever going to have time to open a class when they're in the hospital at 6 a.m. Monday to Friday? They stay till 8 p.m. looking after patients. They do rounds on weekends. I have someone like this, and they're an amazing person. They're dedicated to the group. They train 3 times a week. In fact, they're pissed off if they can't make 3 lessons a week, right? But they have children. They have like a career that's out of this world. They're never going to be a person that can open and dedicate time to a class. So why should I hold back their development? Well, the development is not attached to the belt, but it does give a little bit of motivation, and it shows their knowledge and their journey in capoeira. And so I can't have someone who's been training 3 times a week for 15 years wearing a yellow belt just because they can't teach, right? But I can't make them a teacher unless they're teaching. But if they're walking around with a purple belt on and 20 years capoeira experience, they speak Portuguese, they're playing the berimbau, they get in the roda and show you that they can play, right? And they're singing and playing instruments. Why not? They don't have to have a class, but they're not going to be a teacher unless they're a teacher. And so it's almost like there's 2 paths, right? No one has to be a teacher in my group, but no one becomes a teacher without being a teacher, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So okay. Nobody can get the professor color.
Correct.
Okay. And what is a good order for you?
So really good order for me.
Wait. Okay. I have one question about the quarters. We're talking about the quarters. I know your quarter system, and you put you have also the mixed quarters. Yeah.
Yeah, the half.
Yeah, the half quarters.
Yeah.
And but you put let's say you got a blue quarter, blue. Yeah. So totally blue. And the next one is blue-green.
Yeah.
Now in our group or many groups like Abada and big groups, they put the green one on top. But you change. You put the blue one on top and the green, which is higher, you put on bottom.
Yes.
Why?
Okay, so when we created the group, we wanted to show a bit of outward humility and put less focus on quarters. And so in the group in Germany, we don't put a big focus on quarters. When I started the group, a lot of the students were really like quarter guided, like they're really hot for the quarters, right? And it took a long time to get this mentality out of the group. I didn't really bring it into the group, and it was like, it's a really tough one to fight because I want students to be motivated, but for the right things, not for the quarter, right? Mm-hmm. And so it took a while, but we got there, and now it's not, we respect every belt and every level in our group, and in the world of capoeira, if someone comes in with a mestre coil or contra-mestre soldado to one of our events, they're treated that way, of course. And so we respect the levels of the belts, but for us, we're not training for the next color, right? And so by putting the blue on top of the green instead of the green on top of the blue, when you look down as a student, you still see blue. The first color you see is blue, not green. right? Because you are still a blue belt. You're not a green belt, right? The green or the full green starts your career in green for us, not blue-green. Blue-green is you've dipped your toe into that world, and you've shown us a bit of that character, and we're recognizing that and your experience, but you're still a blue belt, right? It's not the other way that, oh yeah, you're half green and then you're going to be full green. It's you're green when you're green. And so all of the adult belts, when you look down, the lower corda color is at the top, with the exception of Professor. Professor, the red is at the top. And we can trace our roots back to Capoeira Senzala, and their mestre corda is red generally. And they chose that for reasons to honor the history of Capoeira. I'll just say it that way. And so for us, when you become a professor, like you are, like a full professor, it's important that when you look down, you recognize your position now, like as a responsibility, right? Not as a student anymore. So when you look down and you see that red first, it's got to be a big deal in your mind that you carry a lot of responsibility on your shoulders now, right? It's the fun times are over. You are now a serious part of the world of Capoeira, and we expect you to act that way. And here's your reminder. When you look down, you see
the
that
reminder that you're a teacher now.
And it's also the reminder of the history of Capoeira.
Okay, thanks. Now I know. So now we get to the question, like, what is a good order for you? What should be there? What should not be there?
It's like asking what's a good meal, right? It's got to be different. It's got to, like, every time has to be a little bit different. You can't always just go eat pommes and chicken. Like roast chicken and pommes is an amazing meal, right? But I don't want it 2 days in a row. So what I like is variety and flavor. I like good energy. For me, a good harder is when everyone can transmit energy. For me, a harder is only about transmitting energy. Whether you play the instrument, whether you sing, whether you stand on the side and clap your hands and move your body like this, right? Whether you do your movements, right? If you're transmitting energy, that's your role. Everyone's role in the harder is to transmit energy. Like as much energy as you have to give it in, get more out of the other people and give more back, right? Just keep transmitting this energy, right? If you're not transmitting energy, the harder will be flat. Even if one person in a circle of 20 is not doing it, there's like a black hole there and it starts to spread this way, right? And so we try and transmit this energy. So any type of harder, whether it's fast or slow, whether it's cheeky or direct, whether it's like loud or like really sort of lamento, as long as they're transmitting energy, it's a good harder, right? It's about that transmission of energy. I've been to slow harders of Banguela, and you come back and it was like, wow, that was like, I got goosebumps, right? And then I've been to Regional where people spent more time in the air than on the ground. It's like, wow, that was amazing, right? But I've been to harders where like it was technically pretty good and people were exchanging great movements and stuff, but the energy was not being transmitted. There was something going on that I didn't understand at the time. I don't know, and it was just not transmitting that energy. And although the movements were amazing, the capoeiristas were amazing, the teachers amazing, there was just something missing, and that transmission of energy just wasn't there, right? And so for me, a good harder is when everyone is transmitting their energy, where the music doesn't have to be the best, but you have to give everything. The movements don't always have to be the most impressive or the cleanest, but that exchange between those two capoeiristas in the harder, wow, right? Whether they're orange belts or red belts or white belts or black belts, if they're doing like an amazing exchange of movements and like you can tell something's really special is going on between these two players, amazing. Like that's what you're looking for in a harder, right? And so it's just about giving your energy, transmitting your energy.
So everybody is connected through there.
Yeah.
Yep. I didn't expect anything else. Everybody is safe, but maybe. Okay, and I have one more question. If you guys got any questions, write in the comments. My question is, pretty the last one, I think. What do you wish from people practicing capoeira or just start capoeira? Like how they should act?
Act. It's a good question because I like all the different types of people that come in class. And I've had some really strange students come through the class door, right? Really strange attitude to capoeira. They're a bit different. And I enjoyed it. Like, I really did. Like, I like seeing different types of people. I don't want to be surrounded with people the same as me. Not where I work, not where I train, right? And so I want different opinions. I want different attitudes. I don't want everyone to be thinking the same. Like, I am soldado, right? I don't want all soldados. I don't want people doing that. I want people to respect capoeira. I want people to respect its culture and history. I want them to respect each other and understand how we collectively work together to grow and improve. So basic respect to each other. I want them to challenge themselves first, right? And be open to being challenged, right, by others. So this mindset of I'm here to be challenged, I'm here to challenge myself. One big thing for me with a student is to have the attitude of I want to be better today than I was yesterday. I want to be better to tomorrow.
You know, there was a countdown.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this countdown for? And then it went to 0 and we kicked us. Okay.
Can you see if Santo's online? Is Santo online?
Santo, no, I wait.
He was. Okay, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so like the respect for like capoeira, its culture, its history, the respect for the other people there, and I'm not just talking about don't hit them or this and that, respecting different opinions, points of view, and things like that. Just general basic human respect, right? Like how you interact with people. Just because you have your own opinion and idea doesn't mean it's the best. But also want to challenge themselves to change their own point of view, their own opinion, and to grow. And so if you're not there with an open mind, willing to grow, and you don't respect other people, we don't have a place for you. Like to say it really nice. And after, it's 16 years teaching now in Hamburg this year, we have evolved to that sort of group where everyone is different, like really different, even how they play in the hada. If you have experience in capoeira, you could probably look at one of my students and say, that's Soldado student. I can tell, right, just from the movements. But they won't play like me. You can just tell they train with me, right? There'll be similarities and you'll see the general style, but they have their own personality in their game, which is really, really, Santo's there now. It's a really big deal to me. Santo, you said I shouldn't talk too long, and I talked too long. So the point is more about I want them to have an open mind, I want them to respect people, and I want them to challenge themselves and let themselves be challenged. Like this is the thing, right? It's the attitude I have for myself, and I expect the same of the other people as well. And it's the attitude my high belts give as well. And it's the attitude that a lot of the beginners start to pick up on as well.
Yeah, nice answer. Okay, I don't have any questions anymore, but maybe you want to tell something? Now we have 1 hour more, the countdowns.
I won't do it to Santo. All right. I think, just in closing, I guess, I think it's really good what you're doing with the series of interviews. I think in the time where people are stuck at home, and I know it's affecting me, so I just assume it's affecting other people, it's tough. It's really hard, especially for our culture of capoeira, what we're doing, how we train normally. We're very social, we meet all the time, there's lots of contact and stuff. It's really hard on a lot of people, some more than others. And I think, in the past, capoeira was a sport of rebellion. It was a sport of going underground and hiding from the authorities. And it shows how much capoeira has evolved to the point where we look at what's going on in the world and we take action. We became very virtual and we're supporting each other remotely. And there's more classes my students can go to now than before the COVID-19 hit. And I think that's amazing. Everyone's like, and they're going to other groups to train with. I've got students in Hamburg training with a teacher in France, right? Like from their lounge room. Like this wouldn't have been conceivable 6 months ago, right? Like people, why is that master teaching my student? Like, I think it's amazing that so many people have stepped up to support the community. And so for me, like to people who might be listening and having struggles with that themselves, stick with it. Might be a month, it might be another 3 months, I don't know, right? The Capoeira has changed. We're not going to go underground. We're not going to go train secretly and risk each other's lives and do illegal stuff. I don't think that's the thing to do. We need to show maturity and connectivity in our community and start to support each other like you are doing with these interviews, to keep people engaged in Capoeira, to keep them involved, to keep them working together. It's tough. I haven't, by the time I go back, I won't have seen my students for 2 months, maybe 3. And I think, the second we all connect is going to be like a wave of emotion. That first hug is going to be something special. And I'm really looking forward to that. But right now, I want everyone to be safe and look after themselves. And I think I want to say thank you to you for doing something like this that you're doing, to all the students and teachers who are working virtually, who are posting Instagram training sessions, who are doing Zoom or Google Hangouts, whatever you want to do, or Instagram Live. Keep doing it. Don't listen to anyone that has a problem with it. Like it's what Capoeira needs right now. And I've seen more Capoeira videos in the last 2 months than I have in the last 2 years, and I think it's just wonderful, right? I'm a bit emotional saying that now, but I never thought I would see Capoeira become disconnected, right, by people staying at home. And I'd like to see it just keep the momentum of this, so that when people come out of this, they've got a whole bunch of new friends and a whole bunch of new connections. They might have contact with you and say, hey, I really like that series Helicopter did. I want to go visit his class now. Or can we invite this person to our event? I think these are the sorts of things that are going to help Capoeira become stronger and better after this whole crisis has gone past. And just everyone stay safe, right? That's a wish from me, stay safe.
Perfect. I have nothing to add to this one.
All right.
And so see you maybe in. Did you change your event to last?
So my feeling, we did plan to have it. I think it was in the first weekend of June this year, and my opinion was, even if we came training now, like 1st of May, 4 weeks is not enough to get the group ready for an event. And so we will just cancel our batizado and big workshop this year and move it to next year. What we will do is just after summer, we'll probably just do a Hamburg workshop. No grading, no batizado, just 2 days, like Saturday to Sunday, so people can come in on Friday and get some guest teachers. I mean, just do a really fun Capoeira workshop, like nothing but training and holidays. And that's it, like 2 days of this, and then that'll be our event for this year, to just basically celebrate coming back and training and things like that.
If this happens, I'm gonna to be there.
Yeah, for sure. You're in my top 10 invitees. So
Popo
sure.
also.
Yeah, Popo for
I come
sure.
together with Popo.
Nice.
And Valentia.
And Valentia as well. I say Valentia. Yeah. Cool.
So if you got some dates of this, just let us know.
I will.
And thank you very much for this interview, Soldado.
Yes.
For me,
thanks everyone for watching.
Nice.
And thanks for inviting me, and thanks for everyone who's watching. Appreciate your support.
And I'm going to upload this also on YouTube.
Fantastic.
If anybody couldn't watch this now, and I put those 2 videos together, so we just have one.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
See you, Soldado.
Take care,
Thank
my
you very
friend.
much. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.